Welcome. I'm Natalie Jackson.
I'm Jazz Carwin.
And we're part of the Eros work team. And welcome to this last video in our series. And this particular video is about how do you know if this weekend is right for you, and what if you're not sure if it's right for you?
First of all, I wanted to reassure you that if you're nervous about attending the weekend, you won't be alone. We all tend to have concerns and doubts and hesitations, especially when we're jumping into something new, something unknown. We honor those concerns. We appreciate that doubt and that hesitation. Those questions you might be asking yourself right now are really important questions to be asking. Almost everybody we've talked to as they're coming into this weekend, a lot of fear and doubts and resistance. And if you're in that place, that's really normal. I mean, we were taught very strongly, don't talk to strangers. Don't talk about sex. This stuff is private, and we're taught to hide. And the things we do in private are all connected with shame. And so the sense that, I don't know if I want to do this, is a cultural norm. And it feels really, really wonderful to go to your edge and push a little bit and expand who you are. And what would you say to somebody who is wondering whether this will be too much for them?
That's a really good question. The too much question. So I would really invite people to take a risk, first of all. Take a risk because only the change in our lives only happen when we go to that edge of comfort and we go just outside of what's risky for us. And you know, we always say to people, if it feels like it's too much, then you can step back. Everything is by choice. Everything that you do in this experience is by choice. And sometimes saying no to something is the most empowering step that a person can take.
And what about the people who aren't really struggling with their sexuality? What can they get out of the weekend?
Well, that's interesting because I've been asked by people like that as well. You know, I don't have any problems. Sex is great in my world and I have lots of it. And so what I'd like to say to that is our sexuality is one component of the richness of what makes up the tapestry of who you are. And so we in Eros work have chosen to take sexuality as the doorway in to the core of who you are. And so you might find that sexuality itself is a rich and fulfilling part of your life, but maybe there's another aspect of your life that's really struggling. We take the doorway in, then you might find a whole other depth, a whole other layer, you know, what's asking for healing at this time that is just available to you. It just kind of opens up to you.
So as a woman, how would you describe what it's like to explore these parts of yourself with men present?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, the container really shifts when there are men in it, and you know, other genders come into the container. So we go from having this sweet kind of sister experience to all of a sudden, you know, all of what we carry in our interrelations with other genders surface. So women show up in a really different way, myself included as a facilitator. I show up in a very different way in a container when there are men present. And I think there's life to that's immeasurable. I think if we can do this kind of work and feel safe enough to do this kind of work, then we're richer for it. So there's a richness to it, and yeah, there's a risk to it. And the reward on the other side of it is really lovely.
So what are the gifts you've gotten from the men in the container?
Well, one of the beautiful gifts, you know, we do this really lovely gender healing ritual, and then this way that we can kind of give back to each other or really honor each other at the end of the weekend that are beautiful, and they're healing and they're deeply moving, and to be honored in that way. The divine feminine has been yearning for that, I think, for thousands of years. And I could feel that in my body, that yearning for just being honored. No, I don't need to change a single thing of who I am, but it's perfect and beautiful that I am me. And to have that experience at the hands of all of the men who were present really moved me. I think it changed me in some way. So I know, Giles, that you facilitate containers of men only. So I'm curious what would be the difference in this container?
There is a big difference between an all-male container and a mixed-gender container. And the beauty, I think, of a single-gender container is there's a certain amount of shared experience. And there's a certain amount of built-in acceptance of where everybody's coming from. When you get in the mixed-gender container, it starts off with this initial sense of otherness and sense of fear of being judged or fear of being hurt. And then if you're able to step into that bit by bit and build that trust and build that connection to the point where you can start telling each other the stuff that you've never really been able to tell somebody of the other gender and have it go well. To be seen by the other gender in a way that you've always wanted to be seen by them, accepted by them. And that sense of otherness starts to disappear. And the beauty of the divine masculine starts to emerge. And the beauty of the divine feminine starts to emerge. And they can kind of dance together into something that doesn't exist if they're not both present. And my sense is it makes the world seem a much more safe and welcoming and understandable place. And we start to see each other not as victims or perpetrators or heroes, but as brothers and sisters and equals and allies. And seeing everybody's pain makes it easier to hold our own pain. It makes it easier to hold them in a compassionate way, especially if they're doing something that's uncomfortable for us.
Thank you if you tuned in for all 4 videos in our little series. Thank you for joining us.
Hopefully you're much more excited and interested about exploring your own sexuality or seeing the doors of possibility open up. I'd love to walk through those doors with you and see where they lead. If you're interested in following this up, you can go to eroswork.com. I'll have more information about upcoming weekends, how to register, a lot more about us and Eros Work in general. We look forward to meeting you someday.
Thanks for tuning in.